When the RMS Titanic sailed in 1912, it was more than just a ship, it was a massive floating structure designed like a vertical city. Please subscribe. Beneath its famous exterior existed a carefully planned deck system that organized thousands of people, powerful machinery, cargo, and essential operations into one enormous vessel. Every deck had a purpose, and together they formed the structural layout that defined how Titanic functioned. The design of Titanic's decks reflected both engineering efficiency and social organization. The ship was divided vertically into multiple levels, each serving different functions. Some decks focused on passenger spaces, others on operations, while the lowest sections supported machinery, cargo, and technical systems. At the very bottom of the ship were the engineering and utility areas. These lower decks housed boiler rooms, engine rooms, coal bunkers, storage spaces, and other operational systems. This arrangement was practical because heavy machinery and fuel were positioned low in the ship, helping maintain stability by keeping weight closer to the waterline. Above these technical areas were decks used for cargo, crew operations, and third-class accommodations. Titanic carried luggage, mail, supplies, and various forms of cargo, all of which required organized storage and movement systems. Crew corridors and service routes were also built into these lower and middle sections, allowing workers to move efficiently through the ship without interfering with passenger areas. As you moved higher, the environment changed dramatically. Middle and upper decks contained passenger spaces designed for comfort and luxury. First-class areas included dining rooms, lounges, reading rooms, suites, and the famous grand staircase. These decks were designed not only for functionality, but also to create an atmosphere of elegance and spaciousness. Second-class and third-class areas were also integrated into the layout, though arranged differently depending on space, access, and intended use. The ship's structure reflected the social organization common in ocean travel during that period, with different passenger classes occupying distinct sections of the vessel. The deck system also supported movement throughout the ship. Staircases, corridors, elevators, and passageways connected different levels, allowing passengers and crew to travel between areas. Engineers had to carefully plan these routes to manage both convenience and structural integrity. From an engineering perspective, the decks themselves acted as structural elements. They were not simply floors placed inside the ship, they contributed to the overall strength of the hull. Steel beams and supports connected the decks to the ship's framework, helping distribute forces created by waves, weight, and movement through the ocean. The arrangement of decks also affected stability and balance. Weight distribution across multiple levels had to be carefully controlled. Heavy systems were placed lower, while passenger spaces occupied higher levels. This design helped maintain the ship's center of gravity and improve performance at sea. Another important aspect of the layout was separation between operational and passenger zones. Engineering spaces, crew routes, and service systems were often hidden behind walls or located on lower decks, allowing passengers to experience comfort without constantly seeing the machinery and labor required to operate the ship. Ventilation, lighting, and utilities were integrated throughout the deck structure as well. Electrical wiring, pipes, air ducts, and communication systems passed between levels, connecting different parts of the ship into one coordinated system. Managing all of these hidden networks within the deck layout required advanced planning. The uppermost decks served additional purposes beyond passenger recreation. Open deck areas provided space for walking, observation, and access to lifeboats. The bridge and navigation areas were positioned high above the ship, giving officers clear visibility across the ocean. Looking back, the structural layout of the RMS Titanic reveals how ambitious the ship truly was. It combined industrial engineering, architectural design, and large-scale organization into one integrated structure capable of operating like a floating city. It also shows how every part of the ship was interconnected. The luxury experienced on upper decks depended entirely on the hidden systems and workers below. Every corridor, staircase, and compartment was part of a much larger design philosophy. More than a century later, Titanic's deck layout continues to fascinate historians, engineers, and audiences around the world. It remains one of the most recognizable examples of early 20th century ocean liner design. In the end, the deck structure of the RMS Titanic was more than stacked levels inside a ship. It was an organized world, a system of movement, power, and human activity. A carefully designed structure connecting every part of the vessel, and from the lowest boiler rooms to the highest open decks, That layout shaped how Titanic lived, moved, and crossed the Atlantic through engineering, design, and the ambition of its era.